Joel Embiid's availability for this game?
Malika, I'm told that Joel Embiid is unlikely to play in Game 1 against the Celtics tonight in Boston. He did get on the floor today at the Sixers shoot-around and then worked out afterward, was able to move better. There has been improvement, and I'm told there is optimism that Joel Embiid could make his return for Game 2 on Wednesday, but the Sixers are preparing to be without him tonight in Game 1 with that sprained knee.
Okay, unlikely that we see Joel Embiid tonight. Woj, thank you. Please do not go too far. We'll see you back a little bit later in the show. But this will actually be the 22nd postseason series between the 76ers and the Celtics. That's by far the most matchups that we've seen between any two teams in playoff history. So as we bring Perk into the conversation, Boston has won 14 of these previous matchups, including 5 straight. But Ramona, I'm going to start with you here. We heard the latest from Woj, but how is the team thinking and approaching this?
Yeah, I mean, they're preparing to be without him tonight, and I think it was telling that he got on the court and let his teammates see him out there, let him see that he's going through some workouts. Now, he did a private workout after the team went through shoot-around, and he pushed himself, and I think the final determination will come in a couple of hours because he wants to see how he feels after the workout that he did with his private trainer, Drew Hanlon, after the Sixers shoot-around. The issue with Embiid right now is, A, he's got to heal from this injury, and he's had a variety of treatments to treat the sprained LCL here, but you have to let the injury heal, and then you have to build your conditioning back up, because while you're out with this knee injury, he hasn't been able to do much cardio. So how are you going to play in a playoff game when you, A, are still healing, and B, need to build your cardio back up?
You mentioned a variety of treatments, Ramona. What types of treatments are we looking at? Because in some cases, right, sometimes things get worse before they get better.
Yeah, and that means it's working. That's normally how you treat that kind of a knee injury. Is you have the type of treatments that you do is it almost makes it swell and feel stiffer and worse at first.
Right.
And you have to rest it. And I think that's what. And while he's resting, you're not able to push yourself from a conditioning standpoint.
Interesting.
And so I think with Joel, he wants to play. Like, he really wants to get out there on that court. But and the sense was maybe if they had enough time for this Game 1, Boston obviously lost to the Hawks and bought them some more time. But there's a lot more optimism for Game 2 than there is for Game 1. But let's see. He wants to see how he feels in a couple hours before game time.
Sure. So when we look at this, Richard, when we're talking about the playoffs, obviously we're looking at who's the best player on the floor. But also depth comes into account here. So who are you looking at to step up if he's unable to go?
Well, I'm looking at James Harden, and I'm not a big, unless a player's off the court stuff, you get in trouble. I don't care what a player does. I will say this. Joel Embiid was injured, in the third game against Brooklyn. So you kind of understand that he might be hobbled. So if you're the veteran player, if you're James Harden, if you do have a history of underperforming in the postseason, even though you're an MVP, you're a first ballot Hall of Famer, I don't know if going to Vegas in your in-between time, even if you have 4 days, I don't know if that's a good idea. And I'm not saying he was drinking. I'm not saying he was doing anything. All I'm saying is the 6 hours that it takes from you to get from one destination to the next, the swelling, the inflammation that it causes on your body. You don't travel unnecessarily unless you need to. So all eyes are on James Harden. If there is no Joel Embiid, James Harden, if he goes out there and doesn't play well, everyone's going to be looking at, well, what are you doing? Well, what is your behavior like? We've seen him going to strip clubs right after they lose in the postseason. And I'm not here to judge any of that. But all eyes are on his performance and how he handles it.
It's the microscope, and that's the video that we just showed, is James Harden in Las Vegas. Let's bring Kendrick Perkins back into this conversation. Perk, who are you looking at to step up if Joel Embiid is not able to go?
Well, first of all, Richard, I totally disagree with you on this. And I think we have to stop. We have to really stop looking at James Harden and expecting him to be the James Harden of Houston. Like, he has shown us throughout the last 3 years that he is transitioning over to not being that guy. And I get it. Joel Embiid is out. I understand all that. But he's not the James Harden that's going to go out there and average 36 or even average 30 throughout the course of this series. That's not who he is. Now, do he have to elevate his game a little bit offensively and be more offensively aggressive and be more efficient? Yes. But to me, the young superstar that is on this team is Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey is who I'm looking at. We have to realize this. Coming out of high school, Tyrese Maxey was one of those dudes. Coming out of college, Tyrese Maxey was that guy. Tyrese Maxey dropped in the draft. It wasn't because of his skill set. It was because of some other issues that teams may have had with him, which I don't know what. But at the end of the day, he have shown us time and time again that he's ready to take that leap. And just like we are watching guys like, I saw Desmond Baines have some good games for us in the Lakers series. We saw the emergence of De'Aaron Fox this postseason. We saw Malik Monk ball out in certain instances in this postseason. I think we're going to see Tyrese Maxey do the same. And I think it's time for us to put it to bed that we keep having these high expectations for James Harden to elevate and be this superstar that he was, or this MVP caliber player that he was in Houston. He's not that player no more. And it's actually okay. I would rather him defer to Tyrese Maxey and let him go out there and get 20 to 25 shot attempts.
Welcoming back our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski. Woj, let's start with Jimmy Butler. What's the latest that you're hearing on him?
Yeah, Malika, Jimmy Butler with that rolled ankle, a painful injury, some apparent swelling yesterday. The Heat are going to take this right up until game time on Tuesday before they make a decision about his ability to play in Game 2. But keep in mind, because the Heat stole Game 1, they've taken home court advantage, and they don't play Game 3 until Saturday in Miami. That would certainly buy Jimmy Butler several more days of rest if he needs that with this painful ankle sprain.
Well, then on the other side of things, though, the Knicks now find themselves in an 0-1 hole, and they had that without Julius Randle. So what's the latest on him for Game 2?
Right, Malika, and just the opposite. Certainly some more urgency down 0-1 in a Game 2 at home that you just can't lose. You don't want to go back on the road down 0-2. Julius Randle has been making progress with that sprained ankle. This is the second time in a month. He has significantly sprained that ankle. He missed the last 5 games of the regular season, and now again misses Game 1 on Sunday. He was out on the court pregame on Sunday, moving pretty well and starting to certainly, continuing to make progress. I think Julius Randle is going to be the same situation. See how he feels before tip on Tuesday. But of course, certainly more urgency for a Knicks team that has got to get a split at home before they head on the road in this conference semifinal.
And we know that Julius Randle has earned his reputation as an Iron Man in this league. So if he can possibly be out there, he will be. Woj, thank you so much for those updates. And as Woj mentioned, just take a look here at the Heat Knicks schedule. After tomorrow's Game 2, the teams, they get 3 full days off before Saturday's Game 3. That does buy them a little bit more time, because then it's every other day before getting an extra day off leading into a potential Game 7. So back with our entire panel here. And Perk, I want to start with you. The Heat, they took back home court advantage here to start this series. So obviously, if there's no Julius Randle for the Knicks here, there was no Julius Randle there, what do you think the biggest takeaway is from Game 1?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway for me is the Heat culture. I think we don't give enough credit, especially myself, to what the Heat do on a day-to-day basis for as their player development and finding players that no one else really take a chance on. Think about this for a second. They have 4 guys that were undrafted that are playing heavy minutes in their rotations right now. Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, and then you have also Highsmith and Max Strus. Those guys were undrafted and getting the opportunity right now and playing great minutes that actually helped them for us getting past the first round and play some good minutes for them last night. And when you look at K-Love, people thought that K-Love was done. When you watch K-Love when he was in Cleveland coming in off the bench, we didn't know what to expect for as him going to Miami. Kyle Lowry, we didn't get a chance to see him throughout the course of the season. When you just think about the culture and the structure that they have to be able to plug and replace and get the best out of guys and put them in the right positions to be successful, they have one of the best coaches in basketball.
Legs, what was your takeaway?
Yeah, look, I think the Knicks unfortunately lost an opportunity here. I thought they had a great opportunity to get this game because the Miami Heat played well. They didn't play great. And when you're at home in a game one, you have a chance to immediately establish momentum. And coming out of that previous series, right, the Garden was rocking. Everybody wanted to get out and get ahead in this series. You really can make a great statement. And I just thought they let it slip away for a variety of reasons. I think first, we talked a lot about today the free throw issues. Missing 8 free throws, that's a big deal in a game that's this tight. I also thought that defensively, they didn't do a good enough job of having Gabe Vincent on their whiteboard. And now they have to put him there because he and Lowry really gutted them. 38 points you get basically out of your point guard position. And that's points that's unaccounted for if you're the Knicks going into the game. You're obviously focused on Butler. You know what Bam is going to bring to the table. You're trying to stay home with a guy like Strus and not let him get going. And Gabe Vincent was very comfortable. And I think that's something now the Knicks are going to have to go back and make that adjustment. But I just felt like on a night when, Jimmy does get hurt, didn't go off against you, your game plan was pretty good against him, you had an opportunity to put Miami back on their heels a little bit and get that place really rocking with a chance to go up 2-0. Now they're going to have to dig out of a little bit of a hole.
Yeah, I thought they shot themselves out of the game. I mean, they were 7 for 34 from behind the three-point arc. Jalen Brunson 0 for 7. And you don't even have to be a good three-point shooting team. You just need to be not bad. That was really bad by the Knicks in terms of shooting from behind the arc. And you're not going to win many games that way.
Yeah, no, look, 1 for 5 from Barrett, 0 for 7 from Brunson, 0 for 4 from Hart. You believe that